For the 5 people who were in doubt that Alita 2 was coming, well, it seems that James Cameron said that Alita and 2 and 3 are going to be made as movies. So Alita came out in 2019. The whole story of that movie is that they were going to pick this or Avatar. Avatar made a $2 billion. Alita got forgotten, and they said, okay, James Cameron's friend will direct the movie. Okay, the movie came out, made $400 million globally. But the problem with Alita 2, I think if it wants to, they have to try to get more people outside of China to watch the movie, of course. Because Alita is a movie that was entirely dependent on China to make that much money. And China and Hollywood are like enemies at this point. But again, I think the only exception is James Cameron and James Cameron influenced movies because his movies do pretty well in China. Avatar Way of Water did, Alita did, first Avatar did. Avatar re-release did well in China. So I think James Cameron might be immune from this because Alita is a James Cameron series. I know it's based off a manga series. You don't have to remind me of that, but I'm talking about the movie series because here we go. The film generally earned positive reviews by fans, not the critics, of course. Because, of course, the critics didn't like it, But they'll give, Cuties an 86%. They'll give, Turning Red a 95%. Two completely awful movies that, the critics loved, of course. And two planned sequels. Generally, and two prosecutions thus fell into fruition. Okay, but it seems that now James Cameron is gonna he will be involved with the movies, obviously. But the producer does not reveal anything about the movies except for they exist and they're going to happen. So yeah, they have outlined storylines for the two sequels, followed several months of world of small updates. Alita could definitely be like Spider-Verse 2, okay? Usually, sometimes you have movies that don't do that well at the beginning. Okay, you have, Batman Begins versus The Dark Knight doing way better than Batman Begins, okay? Batman Begins didn't really do too well at the box office, okay? And I could definitely see the case being this of Alita, because Alita, a lot of people who have not seen the movie have seen it on streaming. A lot of people have seen it on Blu-ray, despite never seeing it in the theaters. And a lot of people have seen the movie on streaming, obviously, and, digital HD and stuff like that. That's where most of the new fans, that's where a lot of people, have seen it. As we can definitely compare this to IPs and series of more popular characters. Okay, we can put Batman Begins. Okay, we all know Batman Begins did poorly, which probably why it took so long for the Dark Knight to be created. Actually came out in 2005, but Batman Begins didn't really do too well at the box office. Okay, it had good ratings because people liked the movie, but it was not really a huge success. Okay, budget is $150 million, which means the movie barely made money. But through the word of mouth of the movie, The Dark Knight was created, which made $1 billion. We can now also compare this with Spider-Verse, okay, as well. Spider-Verse was going to flop. It was going to fail. It was going to do horribly at the box office. Okay, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is gonna basically make 2 times the original Spider-Verse at this point. Okay, so double the original movie. Not the Dark Knight level success because international box office is not doing too well for Spider-Verse, but you could definitely see the word of mouth for Spider-Verse, coming out for its sequel. Okay, and probably Beyond the Spider-Verse will probably do, just as well as Across the Spider-Verse. Okay, but you can definitely see the word of mouth go out for Spider-Verse. And these are two more popular characters than Alita. Okay, Alita did way worse than both movies. It did better than Batman Begins, but Alita didn't do too well in. Let's exclude the Chinese sales, okay? Let's exclude the Chinese sales. So 143. They'll probably still release it in China, but let's exclude China here. because James Cameron IPs do pretty well now. But let's talk about all the other markets. Okay, excluding China. Okay, so international total is $360 million if you exclude China. Okay, that would be around $186 million globally. Around that, Arita made $85 million domestically. Let's assume Arita makes $200 million. Arita 2 makes $200 million domestically, and it doubles the international total of the first movie as well. Because the movie did really well on streaming and on TV in international markets too, not just America. So it will make $300 million, not even including China. So this movie would make, and let's assume the movie has the same budget as the original, because Hollywood, they just love to spend money on movies that don't really need to have the double the budget of the original movie, but Hollywood's gonna do it anyways because they're dumb and I don't realize that technology already exists, but but again, this is Hollywood we're talking about. So this movie will make $500 million. Means the movie has a $200 million budget, like the $200 million budget, which basically means they improve on the CGI, improve on everything. $500 million without China, okay. And let's assume it makes another. Let's assume it makes $80 to $90 million in China because Hollywood and China are at our enemies again. So that means we will make around, we could make around $600 to $700 million. Almost certainly, similar to Spider-Verse, or at least $500 to $600 million globally. Which will be very much more than the original. But but you gotta realize that original gross included China, include $140 million from China. So the worldwide gross without China is $230 million. So if you see, so without China, the movie will double the original movie. The Dark Knight was a rare case, or it was triple. If it's a Dark Knight, or as you can see, $800 million for this movie. But considering that people and how people are also starved for movies that are actually good, and James Cameron, did deliver to Avatar fans saying, "Hey, I still produce quality movies," and I think if the word of mouth is good for this movie, or they release it during Christmas, around Christmas, okay, this movie could definitely do way better than the first movie. The sequel is good, okay. And again, Disney is desperate for IPs that make money because they can't seem to make money of any of the movies. Obviously, here look at Indiana Jones, the Dial of Destiny. Okay, that movie is doing so poorly, and Indiana Jones is one of the most iconic characters in all of movies, and his movies are still doing terribly. So Alita 2 could definitely do double the original movie as well. Well, considering that people will actually be excited for a Alita sequel, unlike Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny, which generated zero hype whatsoever, because you already have the existing fan base online generating hype for the movie, and then you'll have new fans being introduced to the movies as well. You know, yeah. So the movie made $405 million. But again, you can definitely see with another movie that wasn't a runaway hit, the Batman Begins, also making $450 million. It was as well. Spider-Verse also made similar amount of money. Okay. But comments about fans of typically Green Rain for a movie depends on how second one fails at the box office. Files count is very confident for a sequel. Or perhaps second for a movie be sought back to back to topping Avatar's fantasy strategy, or they're moving forward in the next few years. Its official announcement from Disney wouldn't be too far away because Disney is desperate for something that will make money. And they know that Avatar made money. And they know that, hey, James Cameron made this movie, or helped with this movie. So going to be getting, either 2, 3, gonna probably milkers that can get 4 or 5 if the movies continue to do well, you know. But yeah, that's it about this video here. So apparently it is confirmed that they're making 2 and 3. And wouldn't be surprised if an official announcement isn't too far away, considering that Disney had a slew of failures this past month. You had Boogeyman, which failed. You had Little Mermaid, which failed. You had, Indiana Jones, which failed. You had, Elemental, which failed. Okay, Haunted Mansion, which will probably fail. Disney is gonna probably continue losing more money from the movies coming out later, because none of the movies are really generating hype. There's no hype around the Marvels. There's no hype around Haunted Mansion. There's no hype around. Actually, there's a decent amount of hype around Risk, but there's no hype around Elemental, and the numbers sold. Okay, you know, and yes, there was no hype around Puss in Boots: The Last Risk, but that movie was so great that had such amazing legs. Okay, as well. Okay, because people are like, really, a Puss in Boots sequel? Why? But the movie ended up outgrossing the original movie domestically, but not worldwide. The movie still made a lot of money, but, globally, the movie did not pass the original, which probably because of the Chinese sales. I don't know how important China was in the box office back in the day, in 2011. But this movie went from one of the worst openings in holiday history to making $185 million. So just because, but only movies that come out of the holidays can really do this kind of stuff. Because if Puss in Boots performed like the average movie, it would have only made $40 million. But Puss in Boots: The Last Risk made $45 million relatively quickly, and that was until after the holidays. That was before after the until after the holidays ended. But even after the holidays ended, this movie had such extremely great legs that this movie is going to continue making money over and over as well. Okay, this is a movie that had pretty great legs, all things considered, and it didn't even drop below 10 million until February 3rd, and didn't even drop below 1 million until April 17th, till March 17th, and then they kicked it out of theaters because of the Mario movie. But it always shows, if you make a good movie, people going to go out to see it. People going to go out to see a movie if it's a good movie. People going to go out to see a movie if it's a good movie. And yeah, that's it about this video here. Goodbye.